Okay, welcome back everyone. Welcome to a new trading week. This is Jeff here with FXMindshift, and this is your Sunday weekly review. So, on the calendar this week, you can see one notable thing to notice is that we have a daylight savings time shift for the US. So everyone in the US moving their clocks forward 1 hour. News and high impact news this week. We can see that we have high impact news pretty much every day of the week except for Monday, right? But Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, we all have red folders. And Wednesday is going to be the one to watch because Wednesday is CPI. Normally we get the biggest movements, the biggest volatility from CPI movements, right? They usually have similar movements to like NFP or FOMC. So we should expect some pretty high volatility here on Wednesday. Thursday, we've got core PPI, we've got PPI unemployment claims, and then Friday we have GDP. And in the U.S. session, we have preliminary UOM consumer sentiment and inflation expectations, right? So we should expect some pretty decent moves this week coming off of the NFP moves last week and what we're seeing from the charts. Let's get right into it here for the top-down analysis. So if we look at the DXY chart on the monthly, okay, we can see a pretty significant shift movement down already in the month of March, right? We had just started the month, okay? We closed February up here, and already after that first week, we can see a significant shift to the downside. So lots of momentum and bearish order flow. We have a monthly imbalance just below us right here, and then taking out this low will take us right into that imbalance. So we should see, some kind of reaction when we get down there. The low of this November monthly low here is 103.37. Okay, so probably looking at dipping into the 103 or below the 103 big figure mark as we trade into this imbalance, right? If we go to the weekly chart and we take a look at the weekly, we can see that last week was a pretty bearish week, right? We had an entire engulfing candle here, right? Lots of bearish momentum to the downside. We had a weekly change of character, and then the weekly imbalance here lining up with the monthly as well, right? So coming down here to this low, into this weekly, just underneath that monthly imbalance, right? This will take us down into 102 region here, and then into the order block. Just at these highs here in the mitigation. So this is potentially where we're headed for longer term. Okay, I don't know if we'll get another big move like this this week, but certainly the momentum is with the bears right now, and we are looking for lower prices on the dollar. All right, so let's check out the daily. And if we go to the daily chart, you can see more of the same here. Okay, so lots of daily bearish candles, bearish momentum. We do see a price slowing down just a little bit here on Friday, and NFP and the day close here, close with this kind of bearish pin bar, trading into the daily order block over here. So we can actually see that, right? Trading into the daily OB and then getting that little reaction and the push back up. We've got a daily imbalance just above right here. So if we do see a little kickback right now, I would expect price to continue with the momentum, right? Trading down into those weekly and monthly imbalance levels. So I would expect something to happen like this, where we trade into the imbalance and then continue lower. Okay, so let's see if we have something on the 4 hour that can help us see where that could occur. So on the 4 hour chart here, you can see that we have 4 hour structure, right? Broken over here to the downside with that big move that we had, right? Price just basically ran away, with it and continued lower and continued dropping. We can see that price has traded into a very tiny 4 hour imbalance right here with a little reaction. Okay, we can still see that the price is pushing up in here. So we might see price go higher above this. If we get above that, we have the order block to contend with up here. And then we also have price reaching the swing high. But that daily imbalance right here, if we go to the daily, you can see, right, further up when we trade through these highs here, that we can look for price to trade into the imbalance, the daily imbalance here. And the overlap with the 4 hour would be to see price, get into like here. Okay, and then that is where we would look for the reaction. But first, we would need to trade through the imbalance here and the order block that we formed on this little push down here, right? So continuing with the bearish momentum on the DXY, let's see if we can get that. So this would kind of be like a false move week beginning, right? So we wouldn't initially see a price movement upwards, right? The false move and then the movement down at the end of the week, right? Or the middle of the end of the week. All right, let's go into euro dollar. Let's see what we have on euro dollar for this week. So on the monthly, we can see that, obviously since we got a very significant shift downwards from the dollar, and we expected, euro to go up this week. And of course, you can see the very large bullish candle that we are currently painting in the month of March. We have already cleared through this monthly imbalance here. Okay, so you can see that the order flow is in fact very bullish. The next imbalance is right above us, okay, and just above this candle high here, which is 109.36. So probably reaching up into the 110 regions, okay, maybe even 111. If we can come up above and take out these highs, then we're looking at 112, maybe even 113. Okay, depends on how the momentum is going to run this week. I mean, we left off last week with a very strong bullish momentum, bullish candle, so I would expect price to continue to expand next week and continue to go higher. This is obviously the first target that I expect a reaction, but if the bullish run continues and the momentum continues, we could see the entire highs and structure over here taken out, making a run for the bigger structure above. Right? This is all longer term, of course. Let's drop down to the weekly and see if we have same weekly confirmations. So again, last week, huge bullish candle that we closed, okay, traded into the weekly bullish OB, or bearish OB, sorry, here. Okay, but like I said, I would expect the run to continue, the momentum to continue. The next draw on liquidity for me on this swing high over here, 109.40, right? And like I said, going up into the 110 regions, we trade up into this weekly imbalance here, and then taking out the entire structure itself would take us into 112, 113 regions, right? And that's what we would look for going forward longer term. Let's go down to the daily. Right, so weekly draw on liquidity here, the daily swing high also would be the same, right? So looking for price to run that first and confirm that we are going to continue higher, right? So I wouldn't need to see, just a reaction there. Obviously, I need to see price go through that high and close above that high for the continuation. We could see price reacting to the OB, and retracing lower first, okay? And so that would be the order block right here, but you can see that we already are trading into this imbalance and getting a reaction. So if we do in fact get a move lower first, then I would be expecting price to trade into this imbalance that we've just created here, and then giving us the run through that high afterwards. Right, so let's see how that looks on the 4-hour. Right, and still on the 4-hour, just like on the dollar, we can see very nice break of structure and a very nice run with the bullish momentum here. 4-hour imbalance just below us right here. Okay, that's what I would look for price to trade into. But before that happens, we have this 4-hour order block to contend with, which we're trading into right now. Right, and so we would not expect the price to run into this imbalance if we're holding this order block, obviously, right? So if we already get that movement down into the H4OB and then we see the reaction from there, that would be where I expect to see the movement up, right? If we do trade through the order block, then looking for the reaction at the imbalance after taking liquidity, right? That would also be a good result, because this swing low here would act as inducement. Right, and then trading into the imbalance for the move higher afterwards. Right, and that kind of correlates very nicely with what we're looking for in DXY. So let's take a look at GU next. Okay, and you can see that GU also showing the very, similar bullish signs, right? At the start of the month here, start of the first week here, we have a very large bullish candle. GU was already, a little bit more bullish than EU was last week, so we expected the bullishness from GU here, and we can see the result right now. There is no imbalance in the leg here like we see from EU, so ultimately we're looking for price to just run out the actual swing high up here, and that would be above 134.30 level, right? And so looking to see the bullish momentum continue, right? And then eventually take out that high, okay, on the monthly here. Let's drop down to the weekly, and we'll see if the weekly corroborates with us exactly what we're looking at on the monthly. So on the weekly, you can see here, very strong bullish close to the week. We also closed through this imbalance that we traded and reacted from initially to give us this very large drop. Okay, so we can see the order flow is now very much in the bull's control, and we have a imbalance here that was inverted. Basically, we had a bullish imbalance and then we had a bearish one, which created this huge move down, right? Which all of the order flow here was bearish, and now we're seeing the reversal, right? We're seeing price come back up through. So if we do get a reaction, this would be the first area that we would see a, likely a significant reaction or a bounce retracement. But before we get to there, obviously I want to see the previous week's high that we made traded through. That's going to be the immediate draw liquidity for me. Okay, so the high of this candle is 129.44. Okay, which means that we're probably going to be looking at trading into the 130 territories, right, and then taking out this swing high afterwards. Okay, so this level right here. Right, and then once we get above that with a closure, then we'll look for the trade into this weekly imbalance up here as the next target. Right, next we have the daily chart, and then the daily we have also a reaction to the daily OB, just like we see in EU. If we have a reaction here, okay, we have a daily imbalance just below us right here. Okay, and also we have the swing high that overlaps with the imbalance there for mitigation. So that would be a very strong point of interest for me to see a bullish reaction from if we trade down into this high here overlapping with this imbalance. We'll see price kind of bounce off that and continue higher. And then the next target above would be that weekly draw on liquidity, which is that high right there. Okay, and so on the 4 hour, let's see what that would look like going into the week. Again, if we get that initial move down first, right, that first false move week beginning, that would be completely normal. But we do have, just like on EU, we also have a 4 hour order block to get through, right, in order to get down into that daily imbalance and the 4 hour imbalance overlap, right? So 4 hour imbalance overlap here, okay, which is also overlapping with this swing high, but again, trading into that daily swing high as well. See if we get some sensitivity on this level here, but first trading through this 4 hour order block. We could see price just go higher from here, right? But ideally, what we'd like to see is an initial move down first. So price respecting the daily order block here on this reaction, trading through the H4OB, right, and then coming down into the overlap here. So we have daily imbalance, we have the swing high mitigation, we also have the 4 hour mitigation here, and then seeing the reaction to go higher. Right, so that is very similar situations here for EU and GU. Okay, let's go on over to gold next. All right, and on gold, you can see here on the monthly chart, we are very, very close to that 3,000 all-time high target. Okay, the next high obviously is the one that we created just this week, last week, and this is, let's see, 29.56. Okay, so just about 45 points away from the 3,000 all-time high, right? So the momentum is still very bullish. We can see that at the start of the month here, we are, creating this nice bullish push and run up to that high, and then seeing if we can get to that 3,000 level this week here with the news. So on the weekly, right, we can see that we have a retracement that we traded back into this weekly imbalance here. And then you can see the very nice reaction that we got off of that reaction in this push up that we saw last week, right? So pushing back towards that high here, okay, ended off the week here with a strong bullish close, right? And then on the daily, okay, we can see that we have the reaction here after taking out this swing. It's a very, very subtle sweep of liquidity, but you can see here we traded into that daily imbalance, right? We took out the swing low as we did so, and then that fueled this move higher, which we saw that very large kind of bullish run to the upside, right? We negated the bearish imbalance here, so we completely traded through that, did not see a reaction at that level. So I'm very optimistic in seeing price take out the highs here and then reach that $3,000 level this week. If it does so, we might do so with the CPI news on Wednesday. That could be the catalyst that pushes price forward, right? But I would initially, like I said, we could see a move down first and then a continuation. We have this daily order block that we can trade into right here, okay, for the push upwards on this initial, seemingly initial down move, which could be the fake out, right? And then trading into it like that. So on the 4-hour, let's see what that looks like. Okay, so 4-hour markups here. On the low end here, we have the V-shape spike that we had, the fast down, fast up. We saw price take out the structure, the 4-hour structure below here, and then this is the daily order block that we're seeing price potentially could trade into. We already have an imbalance here that price is trading into. So price could, just from this reaction that we're getting right now, see the move upwards, but you can see that we're trading into this 4-hour order block that is pushing price lower. So we're kind of stuck in this consolidation right now. We want to see which side kind of wins this push or pull. If we continue to hold this level here, we could just see price go up, right? And that would be ideally the start of the big bullish move that we want to see. Otherwise, we may see price continue lower first, right? Trading back into that daily OB. In this case, the 4-hour OB would be here. Okay, and so what I'd like to see for that scenario is for price to come down into the daily and 4-hour OB and then see the price movement up afterwards, right? So that initial move down would be the false move week beginning. We get the midweek reversal here after trading into the OB and then seeing price continue higher after that. Okay, and that would be for gold. Next up, the indices, right? So here we have NASDAQ first. On the monthly, you can see that we had a very nice bearish move last week and the start of the month, okay? So already trading below February's low here, and then we had a very nice run lower, taking out subsequent lows from November, October, and then now we're potentially going to reach for the September low, which is much, much farther away. Right, so that's a little bit less likely at this point for this week, but it could eventually get down there if the order flow continues to be bearish and reaching lower. So we're going to be looking at a monthly target of, obviously taking out the current low, which is right now sitting at 19,765, right? So that would be the monthly draw. If we go to the weekly chart, right, because the monthly candle hasn't finished forming yet, obviously we can't say for certain that that is going to be the draw because we still have so much of the month left. But from the weekly perspective, how we closed last week, right, we can see that very nice bearish move and the bearish close below the previous weekly low, right? We did create a nice imbalance in the process, okay, and we are trading into a weekly bullish imbalance, or sorry, order block down below here, okay? But if we are going for that monthly target and that low down here, then this is the swing low that I'd be targeting, and that's going to be below the 19,000 level. But first, we need to trade through that weekly OB, and that's going to be no small feat. Okay, that's a lot of meat we gotta get through here. So first initial reaction to trading into the OB, we can see that we did get a bullish rejection. Okay, creating the wick that we're seeing here. So if we do create that movement and that retracement back up right now, this would be the imbalance at a target for the continuation down. So something like this, and then coming down for that weekly low, okay, for that liquidity. So let's drop down to the daily and see if that kind of lines up with what we're looking for here. So from the daily perspective, we can see that there is a reaction. This was NFP Friday. Okay, so you can see we closed the day with sort of a bullish pin bar right at the bottom, but we had swept all of these lows here this week on the move down, on the continuation down that we got, right? So we had a daily break of structure, nice movement down that swept all of these lows here, and then eventually trading back into this imbalance which has been inverted, right? So we saw this bearish imbalance traded through initially, right? And now price respecting that level, sort of like a zone flip and a support level that we're seeing now with this reaction. So the pin bar tells me that, we certainly did get a nice bullish reaction from that, and we could continue higher to start the week. The order flow, though, is still bearish. Obviously, I'm still looking for price to continue lower, but based off how we closed on Friday, we could see, probably a bullish retracement starting off the week. So if we go to the 4-hour and we take a look at the 4-hour markups, okay, we can see that we have a nice sweep of liquidity, right? All of the wicks here below, and then coming back and closing back above this big one here, right? Obviously with the NFP move on Friday, and then coming back and closing, just below this or above the swing low that we took out. This shows me a lot of manipulation. So I'm actually going to be expecting price to retrace higher. First, the target that I'm going to be going for is going to be the order block, obviously the top of the range here. Okay, so our range currently right now, this high to this low. Okay, so trading into that order block slash imbalance area right here. Okay, and then seeing if we get the continuation down from that reaction to then continue lower, right? If we don't hold this area, then we could see a much bigger retracement, but obviously that will not, take effect until we see what happens later this week. And CPI is going to be interesting to watch this week on Wednesday. So we'll see where we are at that point in time here on Wednesday. All right, going over to ES. Okay, kind of similar stuff we're looking at. So the monthly, obviously very bearish, right? We closed already below, last month's low of February. The month is not finished yet. Okay, so obviously we didn't close yet, but we are below last week's low and also below all of the subsequent lows that we took out on NASDAQ as well, right? So September low is the next potential monthly low that we could take out as we continue to see price continue, right? And that would be the monthly draw on liquidity. The weekly chart here, okay, showing very similar confirmations. As you can see, price traded into the weekly order block at the top, which basically led to this continuation move down, right? Swept out all of these lows down here, and just like NASDAQ, trading into a weekly bullish order block here, okay? Didn't create quite as big as an imbalance that we did on NASDAQ, but you can see that ES also created an imbalance as well on this push down and the close of the week here, right? So potentially we could see a trade back into that level or reaction at that level if we actually do get back up there. But since the momentum is so far down here, all right, I'm not going to expect price to trade all the way back up here just yet. Okay, we're going to see how price reacts here to the lows and to this bullish order block. We can see the wick reaction just like we got in NQ. Okay, so let's drop down to the daily here, right? So on ES, we can see that we took out all of the same lows that we did on NASDAQ here, trading also into the same imbalance inversion here and getting the same reaction from the NFP move on Friday, right, with the big wick and the close above the swing low that we took out, right? So we'll be looking for a retracement, back up into the range initially, and then seeing if we get some sort of bearish reaction either to the order block here, okay, or the order block above it here. Okay, either of those would be first targets for price to react to see if we get a move down. Okay, so either there or there. And on the 4-hour, if we can see sort of the same overlap here, the 4-hour we have same structure as NQ, that high, right? Trading into the 4-hour and the daily order block here with the imbalance overlap would be the first target or the first area where I expect price to give us a reaction lower. And depending on whether that follows through or not, okay, and whether we do go lower from that point, or if that doesn't hold, right, and we see price go higher through that, then we would be expecting a much bigger retracement, of course, and then looking for price to come back to the premiums of these highs up here. Right now, obviously, that's going to take some time to play out. And like I said, this is just the preliminary outlook for the week. Okay, we have some nice red folders this week to move price, and I'm going to be especially curious to see what CPI does this week on Wednesday. Right, so that is going to do it for the analysis and the overview this week. For those of you that are interested in seeing my day-to-day analysis and how I'm going to be approaching this upcoming week, as well as the chance to trade live alongside me every single morning in the New York session, there is a link in the description below, the first link in the description, which is the MindShift VIP. You guys can get started for absolutely free for the first 7 days. So there's a 7-day free trial, absolutely risk-free on your part. You can get in, get access to the courses, to the strategies, and you also get access to the live trade rooms. So every morning in the New York session from 9:30 a.m. to 11, I trade live with my students, and you'll be able to get access to that. So if you need help getting funded, passing your evaluations, or just in general need help with your trading and improving your consistency, your profitability, you can get access to that in the first link in the description below. Right? Free for 7 days. If you don't like it, you can cancel anytime afterwards. And worst case scenario, you get some free value from me, and you're better off than you were 7 days ago. And that is going to do it, guys. If you have any other questions, go ahead and leave some comments for me in the section below. Hopefully you guys have an amazing trading week. Have a wonderful weekend, and I will see you guys on the next one.